With that recent Direct, obviously most of the discussion is about the Nintendo Switch 2 itself. However, what's arguably even more exciting than the Switch 2 is the actual games that will be playable on this brand new console. We saw so many new titles, and some of them genuinely look incredible. So in this video, I wanted to talk about each of the games we saw from Nintendo during this Direct and go over all the information we know about these games so far, such as their general gameplay, release date, and price. Yeah, price. I'll also be sharing a few thoughts of my own on each game, including which ones I think might be worth your time, and which ones I'd want to see a bit more from before recommending. I even have a few predictions for some games we haven't seen yet at the end of the video, because I'm not quite convinced Nintendo has revealed their entire hand for this year. Make sure to stay tuned for that, but for now, strap in, because this is every Nintendo game coming to the Switch 2 in 2025. First up is definitely the biggest game announced so far, and that is obviously Mario Kart World. This is shaping up to be by far the most ambitious Mario Kart game ever, with races featuring 24 racers, interconnected Grand Prix, a knockout mode, and oh yeah, a huge world map that you can drive around freely in this new free roam story-like mode. On top of that, this game just looks straight up bizarre, but in a good way. Being able to race as a Goomba, Pokey, or even Cow from Moo Moo Meadows, this is just straight up hilarious. I'm really looking forward to buying this game, and thankfully it is a launch title releasing on June 5th. It will be $80, which is definitely steep for a Nintendo game, and I know there's a lot of controversy attached to that number. However, on top of being a huge game, I think the price might be a bit more justifiable if the game has some sort of post-launch support, perhaps something like the Booster Course Pass, or just updating the game with a few new characters and carts. We'll really just have to see, but for people who don't want to pay the full price, you can still buy the Mario Kart World Switch 2 bundle, which will save you $30. Next is another game releasing at launch on June 5th, and this is a game I struggle to even call a game. I am talking about the Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour that we saw during the Direct. This game is essentially a tech demo for some of the Switch 2's new gimmicks, and a lot of it feels like a glorified manual. I think this is something cool to include with the Switch 2 to help introduce people to new hardware. The problem is, well, it's not included with the Switch 2. You have to specifically pay for this game, which doesn't make any sense. Everything about this screams pack-in experience, and that's why they felt the need to specifically state it would be paid in the Direct. That being said, it's only 990 yen in Japan, which means it should be only around $8 to $10 in the US. However, the minimal price almost makes it worse. Like, did they really need that $10? From a business perspective, why not include this small game to make your console, you know, the almost $500 piece of hardware you're trying to sell millions of, more appealing? I don't even think the price is super unreasonable, but it just feels like Nintendo will do anything before giving us a free pack-in game, despite it working extremely well for them in the past. This next one isn't really a game, but I do think it's worth noting that the Switch 2 will also launch with GameCube Nintendo Switch Online. This has been rumored for a long time, and it's cool to see it launch alongside the Switch 2, which it'll be exclusive to. Being able to play games like Wind Waker on the go is going to be pretty sick, but also the GameCube has a ton of great multiplayer games. So I especially look forward to being able to play games like Double Dash or Mario Strikers online with friends. I will say, I do think this is a good way to showcase both the Switch 2's performance and improved storage. This app will be included for subscribers of the Nintendo Switch Online expansion pack. They're finally adding enough value to where it might actually be worth it to subscribe to that expansion pack. You know what's 100% worth it though? Subscribing to our channel. You see what I did there. Seriously though, we're trying to hit 300,000 subscribers before the Switch 2 launches on June 5th, and most of our viewers aren't actually subscribed. If everyone watching this video subscribed, we'd hit that goal in no time. It seriously means a lot, but now let's jump right back to the video. And next up is Donkey Kong Bonanza. This was the last game featured during the Switch 2 Direct, and it was definitely a pleasant surprise. Apparently, it's made by the same team that was behind Super Mario Odyssey, and it kinda shows, especially with some of the visual and design choices. I actually love Donkey Kong's recent rebranding, which seems to be a nod to the more traditional DK art style, and I think that suits him so well in this game. But yeah, it's basically a 3D collectathon with really fun looking combat and beautiful landscapes. However, those landscapes won't stay beautiful for long because you can destroy pretty much anything in this game, creating paths through the ground, walls, etc. Just from the trailer and gameplay we got during the Treehouse event, I'm already sold. Actually taking a closer look and deep dive at that footage for my analysis of the game, which is live on the channel right now, genuinely took me from like an 8 out of 10 excitement to like a 20 out of 10 excitement. This game looks so much fun. If it was a Mario game and not a Donkey Kong game, people would be freaking out. Come on, man, give Donkey Kong a chance. I promise you this game will be worth your time. Bonanza releases on July 17th, so while it's not technically a launch title, it is very very close, and I'm super excited to play this one. As for the price, it is $70, which is more than a Switch game, or well, every Switch game but Tears of the Kingdom, but is a more tame price increase overall, especially compared to something like Mario Kart World. One of the more interesting games showcased in the Direct was Drag X Drive, which heavily incorporates the Switch 2's mouse functionality and motion controls. This is a basketball wheelchair game with online multiplayer, and it looks really fun, especially the movement. Seeing this guy go up for a dunk was so sick, and I'm definitely looking forward to seeing more of this game because I have a few questions. For instance, outside the court, we can actually see other players rolling around, and it makes me wonder if this game will expand past basketball, or maybe this is just something for players to do while they wait in queue for a game. During the Treehouse, they confirmed that the only local gameplay is with CPUs, so it really is just an online-centric game. We know it's releasing in the summer, and with DK releasing in July, I would imagine this game comes out around August. And as for the price, nothing is confirmed, but there's either two routes they could go. Either this game is free to play for Nintendo Switch Online or Expansion Pass members, which, given Nintendo's recent financial decisions, I don't necessarily think they're gonna do. However, they did spend a lot of time talking about their online service, so it seems like they're trying to get people to jump on it, and offering this game could be the perfect way to do that. Hey, they've done it with other smaller looking games like Tetris 99, so I guess it's possible. However, otherwise, I would imagine this is between $20 and $50. Unless there's way more content we haven't seen, I don't think they can get away with having this game at full price, especially for a new IP that, well, doesn't really have any new characters or anything to, like, latch onto. The character design in this game is definitely the worst part. They look, well, they just kind of look like placeholders if we're being honest. Now I want to talk about the Switch 2 games that also double as Switch games. These are really just upgrades, so I'm not going to give each of them their own section, but I will go over all of them confirmed so far. The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom will get enhanced versions at launch on June 5th. These offer better frame rates and visuals, on top of access to the new Zelda Notes app, which essentially seems like Google Maps for Zelda. Super Mario Party Jamboree's Switch 2 edition will launch on July 24th, with 1440p support and this new Jamboree TV mode, which will take advantage of the Switch 2's camera and mouse features. Kirby and the Forgotten Lands Nintendo Switch 2 edition has better visuals and performance on top of a brand new story called Star-Crossed World. This launches on August 28th. Finally, both Metroid Prime 4 and Pokemon Legends ZA will also get enhanced Switch 2 versions whenever they launch. Again, these have better performance and visuals, and Metroid Prime 4 will also offer mouse support. As for pricing, you can pay extra to buy the Switch 2 version of a game you already want, or you could just pay to upgrade your existing game that you already own. It seems to be an additional $20 for games with substantial extra content, aka any game that adds like a plus Jamboree TV or plus Star-Crossed World. Or it'll be $10 for games with simple performance boosts like Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, and presumably Legends ZA and Prime 4 as well. It's also worth noting that Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, but only those two editions, are both available for free for anyone who has the Nintendo Switch Online expansion pack. There's also several Switch games getting updates for quote-unquote improved playability on Switch 2 according to Nintendo's website. I'm assuming these are just basic performance boosts like higher frame rates and faster load times, but the list of games so far is ARMS, Captain Toad Treasure Tracker, Super Mario Odyssey, Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury, Clubhouse Games 51 Worldwide Classics, The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening and Echoes of Wisdom, Game Builder Garage, New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, and Big Brain Academy Brain vs. Brain. Yeah, some really weird picks here. Games like Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, Link's Awakening, and Echoes of Wisdom all 100% deserve this improved playability because, well, they had pretty serious performance issues on Switch 1. Games like Odyssey or New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, I have no idea why these are getting improved playability. They're already perfectly playable on Switch 1. I would imagine we'll see more of these games in the future, and I really hope so, because there are a lot of games that kind of need a performance boost, particularly Mario and Luigi Brothership and Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. I was absolutely shocked to see neither of those included in either the Switch 2 editions or free updates section of Nintendo's website and Direct. The final game that's technically 100% confirmed for 2025 is Kirby Air Riders. This is a successor to Kirby Air Ride back on the GameCube, and it looks beautiful. Like, way too good for a Kirby game. However, we didn't actually see gameplay of this. This is clearly a 3D pre-rendered trailer, so it's pretty hard to really give it much of an assessment. That being said, I did love the original Kirby's Air Ride. That game was an absolute blast, so I kind of expect this to be the same. The big announcement for this game, funnily enough, was the fact that it's being developed by the creator of Kirby, Masahiro Sakurai. This is actually the first Kirby game he's worked on since the last Air Ride game, so this is really cool to see. Let's just be honest here, Sakurai does not make bad games. He's such a legendary game director, so while I really want to see some gameplay here, I do trust that this game will be just as fun as the original. There's no official release release date, but we do know it's a 2025 game, and with a few games already confirmed for the summer, I would assume this launches in the fall. And now, for the last confirmed big Nintendo game I'm going to talk about, Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment. When I saw this, it just kind of immediately made sense. They already made a Warriors game tied to Breath of the Wild story. This game will be all about the imprisoning war, which ties to a lot of the backstory for Tears of the Kingdom. It's cool to get a new story, and they've been making Hyrule Warriors games for over a decade now, so like I said, this just makes a ton of sense. On top of that, when I said Age of Calamity had performance issues, I was not kidding. Unironically, this game will heavily benefit from the improved hardware of the Switch 2, and with 4K visuals, this game is going to look absolutely beautiful. Now, this game could technically release in 2025, but the placeholder they gave us was winter, which could also be 2026. In fact, just given when winter takes place, statistically, it probably will be 2026, but I could also see it releasing right in time for Christmas, so that's why I figured to include it here. To end off this video, I have a couple of games I want to talk about, and these are purely speculative since they are not confirmed at all. The first is a big holiday game. The Switch 2 will need a big exclusive right around the holidays to drum up sales. Yes, we know Metroid Prime 4 and Legend ZA are probably releasing later on, like closer to the holidays, but again, those are not exclusives. Nintendo will want to have a big holiday exclusive similar to like a Mario Odyssey in 2017. Consoles typically get 1 or 2 big games around this time every year, and this is especially true for a launch year because console sales are so important. The Switch 2 needs a big exclusive for the holidays, and I simply do not think Age of Imprisonment is that game. It'll be fun, but that's not like a big tentpole title for this console. However, it's a bit hard to predict what that game will be. I would say a new 3D Mario makes the most sense, since that was the big holiday title once again for the Switch with Mario Odyssey, but with Donkey Kong Bonanza being another 3D platformer, also likely developed by that 3D Mario team, while it is possible, I guess, it's definitely not a lock by any means. However, there is one franchise that we haven't seen in a while, and this is a franchise that blew up on the Switch. I'm talking about Animal Crossing. New Horizons was the second best-selling game on the Switch, and I think Nintendo wants to keep this momentum. There is certainly an Animal Crossing game that is being planned for this new console, even if it's not releasing this year or even in development at all. Animal Crossing has never really struck me as a game that needs to have a new entry get released in the same year as a brand new console, but just given the success of New Horizons, if there was ever a time for this, it's now. Finally, alongside a big holiday game, which could maybe double as this, I'd like to see just one more multiplayer experience. We know Mario Kart will have multiplayer, and the new Drag X Drive game is very multiplayer centric. However, because this console is so new, I just feel like it needs one more multiplayer game to hold people over. They've been emphasizing the Switch 2's online heavily, with this new game chat feature having its own like 5-minute section in the Direct. I think there's a decent chance that there is still one more big online multiplayer game releasing this year, perhaps in the fall, and well, Nintendo already has a pretty big online multiplayer franchise in Splatoon. Splatoon was really successful on the Wii U, and so Nintendo made sure to get a sequel out quickly when the Switch launched. Splatoon 4 would kind of just be the perfect game for the first year of the Switch. It would showcase the Switch 2's new online features like game chat and the Switch 2's better performance with higher frame rates. Man, it could even support mouse controls. The thing holding this game back is obviously the fact that it has not been revealed yet. However, there is almost definitely going to be a pretty big June or, summer direct like we get every year. If there is a big new multiplayer experience or holiday release, it will certainly be revealed there. But those are all of the Switch 2 games Nintendo is working on for 2025, alongside obviously a few predictions at the end. I'm so excited to be able to experience all of these games this year with you guys, especially with a brand new console. We've waited so long for this, and I'm definitely looking forward to seeing more from these games. If you are as well, make sure to hit the subscribe button because you already know we're going to be covering everything Switch 2 for this momentous launch year. If you enjoyed this video, check out the video on screen right now, which goes over some crazy theories for Mario Kart World. With that out of the way, I'm Thomas from the Switch Stop signing off. Peace.